So what exactly is the Sloven's formula? When it is not possible to study an entire population, such as the population of Metro Manila, a smaller sample is taken using a random sampling technique. So Sloven's formula allows a researcher to sample the population with a desired degree of accuracy. It gives the researcher an idea of how large the sample size needs to be to ensure a reasonable accuracy of results. How do we use the Sloven's formula? First, we have to take note that we're using this in order for us to determine the sample size of population to be used in our quantitative study. So it is written this way. So N equals big N over 1 plus NE squared. So where N is the number of samples and the big N is equal to the total population and E is the error tolerance or the margin of error. So suppose you are working on a study with the title, A Study on the Attitudes of Junior High School Bosconians Towards Online Learning Modality. So your teacher asks you to do two things. First, using the Sloven's formula with 5% margin of error, compute for the sample population. Second, using stratified random sampling, we have to determine the sample per level. So the population per level is given. Grade 7, there are 229 students. Grade 8, 276 students. Grade 9, 272 students. And grade 10, 235 students. So the first step is for us to determine the total population. So since the population per level is given, you just have to get the sum. So 229 plus 276 plus 272 plus 235, that will give us a total population of 1,012. Next is you have to determine the confidence level or the margin of error. Okay, so determining the error of tolerance. For example, a confidence level of 95% giving a margin of error of 0.05 may be accurate enough, or a tighter accuracy of a 98% confidence level, a margin of error of 0.02. So that means that if you want a 95% confidence level, you're supposed to be using 5% margin of error in your computation. And if you decide to have 90% confidence level, you'll be using 10% margin of error in your computation. After figuring out the margin of error, so let's say you already determined that you'll be using 5% margin of error, you have to convert this percentage into the decimal. So 5% means 0.05, and if it's 10%, then that's going to be 0.1. Substituting the identified data, we will have N equals 1012 divided by 1 plus 1012 multiplied by 0.05, which is the margin of error. The next thing that you need to do is you need to get the square of the margin of error. If your margin of error is 5%, that's going to be 0.05 squared. You'll end up with 0.0025. If it's 10%, 0.1 squared, that's going to be 0.01. The square of the margin of error, you can now start multiplying with the total population, which is 1012. So that's going to be 1012 multiplied by 0.0025. You'll end up with 2.53. So that's going to be 1 plus 2.53. You'll arrive at 3.53. Then total population 1012 divided by 3.53. You'll end up with 286.68. Now, do not forget to round your answer to a whole number. Why? Because you cannot sample a fraction of a person or thing. Now, let's try computing using the 10% margin of error. So, that's going to be 0.01, that's already squared because 10% is 0.1. When you square that, you'll end up with 0.01. So that's going to be 1012 divided by 1 plus 10.12. So add first, get the sum of 1 plus 10.12. You'll have 11.12. So divide it, 1012, the total population, divided by 11.12, that will give us an answer of 91.007. Again, do not forget to round it off. Okay, it should be a whole number. So that's going to be 91. So 91 participants if you are to make use of the 10% margin of error. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something about using the Sloven's formula. Please watch my next video on stratified random sampling. Thank you very much.